Hello and welcome back to Curless Mania, where we talk all things pop, rock, and prog. Hope everyone's doing well today. It's been a minute since I made a video. I've been just life gets in the way sometimes. I've been working with my band a little bit. We played a gig just outside of Detroit, which was really fun a couple days ago, and we actually did a quick recording session as well. So it's been as any musician knows, when your band is going, it kind of takes over. It's great. It's really fun, but it's a lot of energy and a lot of time and a lot of just everything. It kind of just takes over your life a little bit outside of your usual stuff. So that's kind of that's my excuse. I do play music as well as talk about music. So my band is called Tom Curless and the 46%. For anyone who wants to Google that, have at it. Check out some of my records. I do original music. But anyway, I'm here to talk about the Yardbirds today. I got on sort of I get on these jags where I'm listening to a band, and I get excited and I start I don't know, I almost start collecting stuff that like albums that I don't have. And then I get excited and I start listening to them a lot. And that's kind of what happened with the Yardbirds recently. So I figured I would do a ranking of their albums that I own. I think it's all of them, basically. There's not a huge discography here. They were only in existence from 1963 until 1968. So it was essentially like a 5-year run. And they had a huge amount of changes in the band over that 5-year period. And of course, famously, I mean, they had 3 of the most renowned English rock guitar players come in and out of their ranks, starting with Eric Clapton, of course, then moving to Jeff Beck, and then Jeff Beck and Page together, and then just Page, Jimmy Page. I mean, it's like 3 of the just amazing guitar players you can ever think of. It's just insane. So that's kind of what they're known for, but really they were a great little combo. I mean, Keith Relf on lead vocals, it was kind of looked like Brian Jones, and he played a great harmonica, and Jim McCarty's a great drummer, and Chris Drea played rhythm guitar, and then he moved to bass. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts in this band. But anyway, really they were kind of they started as sort of a replacement for the Rolling Stones at the Crawdaddy Club. The Stones were getting very popular, and they had this residency at this very famous London club called the Crawdaddy, and they would draw crowds every week, every night, and they finally got so big that they left. And Giorgio Gomelski was the guy that booked the Crawdaddy, I believe, and he was involved with the Stones, but then they kind of bailed, and then he found another band to take their place, which was the Yardbirds. And the Yardbirds, interestingly, I mean, you listen to the early Yardbird stuff, it's very garagey. It's very, it's bluesy, but it's also kind of like garagey and sort of punkish almost, like early. I mean, it's kind of hard to describe. I mean, I wouldn't call it punk, but it's got an edge to it that a lot of music did not have at that time. So they really were grungy is maybe more the word. They had like a grungy vibe to them. It's hard they're kind of kicking the door in with that stuff. And in 1963, nobody else was doing this. So I'm just here to do a ranking. I've been listening to these records kind of a lot lately, so I figured I would just come on here and do a quick ranking, and see what you guys think. So I'm going to start with Having a Rave Up with the Yardbirds as number 5. This is a half studio and half live record, which always kind of annoys me. Like ZZ Top did that with Fandango, and it's like Fandango, I've gone on record with this, it's like the studio side is just so amazing. I wish they had done a full studio record on that, because it's the live stuff is it's okay, but it's not. The studio side is so good, and it kind of similar with this. I really like the studio side. I mean, the studio side has Train Kept a Rollin', the studio version of that, which sounds great. It always reminds me of Aerosmith, right? Because Aerosmith did a great cover of that. And I think they were very influenced by the Yardbirds. So a lot of people were influenced by this band. And I'm a Man is a cool cover. Evil Hearted You is a cool song. Mister, you're a better man than I. That's a kind of a cool track. So I mean, I like the studio side of this, but the you know, and the live side's pretty good too. But it's just not. It kind of just loses. I don't know. It just loses flow. This whole half live, half studio. It's like either do a live album or do a studio record. I just don't like this half and half thing. Kind of bothers me. So like, I guess that's why this one came in fifth. So, and then let's see. Number 4, I'm gonna do 5 Live Yardbirds, which is their first record with Eric Clapton. It's a live album, and it's pretty rough and ready, but it's got a lot of energy, and I think this is kind of what got them famous, because they would put out quite a sound, and they would really they would say the most blues rockin' band. Like they'd use the blues as a template, and they would kind of jazz it up and kind of pump it up and get people all in a frenzy. And they do that a little bit on this record. And I love how they start with too much monkey business. That's a cool starter. Smokestack Lightning, of course, is really cool. I'm a Man, Here It Is, 5 Long Years. I mean, this was when Clapton was like, look, we just want to play the blues. That's all. We're white guys playing the blues. That's all we're doing. That's all I want to do. And of course, as soon as they did For Your Love, he was out. He's like, that's not blues. That's a pop. That's fluff. That is pop fluff. I am a blues guy. That's all I want to do. And he bailed as soon as they did that song. He recorded it and left, like literally, like right after that recording session, he was out. But he was a great guitar player from the word go. I mean, there's no doubt that he was, and he already had it says Eric Slowhand Clapton. I mean, he already had the Slowhand nickname. It came from the Yardbirds, I think, because he would spend a lot of time getting ready before a song, tuning up and just inspecting his guitar and his amp or whatever, and people would start to slow clap. People would start doing like, let's go, come on, like, let's get the next song. And so people started nicknaming him Slowhand because he was the one holding everybody up. So anyway, yeah, so it's a good record. It's very energetic, like you just from the, as soon as you put the needle down, and it's a good record. And it's a great debut. I like it. Okay, then number 3, right? That's where we're at. And this one, I changed my list. I'm looking at my list so much because I changed it, because I don't know, man. I almost put this lower, but I'm really enjoying this album a lot. And it's Little Games, which is the album with the 4-piece with Jimmy Page. And yeah, look at that cover. I love the cover. This album is weird. It's interesting. I mean, there's the 4-piece lineup with Page, right? And this was their last album. This is their final record. And this was it's the precursor to Led Zeppelin, right? I mean, this is the sort of, not quite, but it's like you can hear where Page is going to go with Zeppelin already on this. And and it's produced by Mickey Most, that's the problem with this album. If someone else had produced this record, it could have been even better. It would have been probably number 1 for me, because I do like the material that they're doing here, and I really Page is playing out of his mind, and there's some cool things. They're experimenting a little bit on this record, but you can tell that Mickey Most is pulling them back. Like, he wants them to have a hit. He was a hit maker producer, and he was like, dudes, like, you need to write some stuff that's going to get on the radio. That's all he cared about, and that was his MO. And he fought, actually Page fought him a little bit, was like, I don't want to do this. Let's do this differently. And he was like, no, this is how we do it. He wouldn't let him do anything. So it was funny, because that's how Page ended up producing all the Led Zeppelin stuff. Because he's like, that's not happening again. I'm going to make sure I have a hand in the production on the next thing I do. And that's exactly what happened. So anyway, this album, though, still, even though I still like it a lot. I mean, Little Games is a cool track. White Summer is something that he did later with Zeppelin. Tinker Tailor Soldier Sailor. And again, this is like lightweight material, but it's still cool. The way they play it, Glimpses is cool. Drinking Muddy Water is really good. This is like, you can get a glimpse of like, yeah, they're doing sort of heavy blues, and it works. It's cool, man. That Drinking Muddy Water is a great track. No excess baggage. That's not bad. It kind of fades at the end. There's a little. The first half is really pretty strong, and it sort of fades. But I still really enjoy this album. Every time I listen to it, I go, I really like Little Games. There's something about it. It's just cool. And the production is a little weird, but other than that, it's cool. Glimpses is the one. Glimpses is the one I really really like too. I forgot that's a Glimpses is sort of a psychedelic track. It's really cool. They're experimenting, and I love this album. So anyway, Little Games. That's number 3. Number 2 is For Your Love, and this album, it's pretty consistent. This is a pretty consistent record. I really enjoy this record. For Your Love, it starts out with For Your Love, which is a cool single. I mean, it's a cool track. I Wish You Would Come Back, Baby. I Wish You Would. Bam, 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 bam. Certain Girl, Sweet Music, produced by Manfred Mann, by the way. Good morning, little schoolgirl. And I just it's cool. I Ain't Got You is on here. That's a cool track. Got to Hurry. I mean, it's generally a consistent album. And when I listen to this album, I really like it all the way through. And I think this was the first album that Beck was on full time for. So really cool, good record. Enjoy it. Definitely like it. And then my number 1 is Over, Under, Sideways, Down, which I think was called Roger the Engineer in the UK and had a different cover. So this is the American version of it. And I found this in a record store not too long ago, and I just put this on. And I was like, oh God, I love this record. Like this was kind of what started it for me. And I was like, I got to get the rest of the albums. And I had some of them, but I completed the collection. I had to get everything. Cause this album I just loved it. Lost Woman. I love the title track Over, Under, Sideways, Down. It's such a cool riff. I mean, Beck is playing his heart out on this album. I Can't Make It Your Farewell, Hot, and then they do this Hot House of Omar Shid or whatever it's called, and that's like an instrumental, kind of a weird instrumental, but it works. Jeff's Boogie is another instrumental that's just awesome. It's like sort of 50s-ish, and he plays his butt off on it. I love it. Do What You Ever Since the World Began, Turn Into Earth. He's always there. It's a very, very good record. Like I really like this album. I think it's their height, the height of their performance and production and writing all together. This is the album for me. Like I just think this album's very strong. So again, started in the blues and then kind of moved a little bit more into like pop and psychedelia and experimenting with different genres. But all throughout the Yardbirds' career was a very strong guitar player, right? They always had a strong guitarist, and that would always sort of push them to the next level. So I have to show the other albums that I have. So the live Yardbirds record, this is from 1968, March of 1968. And they played in New York, and this is the Little Games lineup playing live, and because it says featuring Jimmy Page, and it's very cool. I mean, it's a great document of that time. I always read that in some of the Jimmy Page books that I have that Jimmy was pretty excited when the Yardbirds played in America in 1968 because they really started, once they got on the road, they could do what they wanted. There was no restrictions. And Jimmy kind of took the reins and started to do things. And I mean, he plays White Summer on here, and that's really cool. And they play I'm Confused, which is, of course, the template for Dazed and Confused. It's all there. You listen to I'm Confused on this, it's Dazed and Confused with different lyrics. And not Robert Plant isn't singing, but it's the same kind of template. Exactly. I mean, they do all the riffs. Everything's there. It's like, this is Dazed and Confused. So you hear literally on this album, you hear Led Zeppelin being hatched. It's crazy. And Train Kept a Rollin' is the first song that Led Zeppelin jammed. And they play it on here. They do a great job of it. And then Over, Under, Sideways, Down is a cool track. Of course, they do it really well live. And Drinking Muddy Water again live. Oh, so good. So this is a good live album. It's a little bit bootleggy almost. At times it's like, wow, the crowd is kind of making a lot of noise, and but it's cool. It's still a very cool live record. And then I have this compilation, Shapes of Things, which is the double album. That's just a compilation, and it just has all these different tracks from all these different records, basically. So this is kind of a cool, starter for someone if you're interested in it's a double album, if they want to jump into the Yardbirds without buying all the records. And just this is kind of a nice starter kit, I guess, for any Yardbirds if you want to know more or want to just dip your toe in without buying all the albums. So there you go. There's my Yardbirds ranking. What do you guys think? What do you think of the Yardbirds? I think they're kind of an under-heralded band. They were, I don't know, they kicked down a lot of doors back in the early 60s, and they were one of the first to do it along with the Stones. They didn't last. Unlike the Stones, they didn't last. They ended up breaking up in 1968. Keith Relf had enough and kind of just, I think even on that last tour with Page, he was kind of fading. He wasn't that excited about it, and he was kind of getting tired, and I'm done with this. Even on that live record, he kind of says he sounds like he's tired at times, like he's kind of like, here's another song. He doesn't sound like he's that engaged. It's kind of weird at times. And he says, "Oh, this is a pretty good crowd. I like this crowd." It's funny. Anyway, so yeah. So what do you guys think of the Yardbirds? Let me know. I read all the comments, so just comment below. What do you think? I think they're a great band that I didn't really dig into a lot until later in life, and I'm really enjoying it. So yeah. Anyway, that's it. And please comment, like, and subscribe. If you like what you see, please hit subscribe. It really helps the channel, and it helps me to grow and helps me to want to make more material on the channel. So thank you very much, and let me know what your ranking would be. I'm always curious to know what people would, if you're a fan, what would be your number one record for the Yardbirds? So let me know. All right, that's it. Hope you guys are doing great. We'll see you next time on Cureless Mania. Take care.